Hey everyone, this is Helene, and this is Virtual Vegfest Live impromptu, spur of the moment Friday night edition, and we're sponsored by the Plant Based Network. And we are here today to talk about what's happening in Texas. And Kat Mendenhall is with us, and she is in Texas right now. And I'll let her tell you who she is and why I wrote to her. Well, I can tell you that I wrote to her because she's in Texas, and life there right now is not all that pleasant. It's cold. There's no water. There hasn't been electricity. It's a bit of a disaster. And you know what? We want to help. And we need your help to do that. So I wanted you to hear from someone who's there as opposed to news. Let's hear from someone who's living through it. And if you're so inclined, we are going to take these funds that we raise and we're going to give them to like Rowdy Girl Sanctuary, those in need that they need the help. And we need your help to do that. So here we go. Hey, Kat, how are you?
Hey, I'm actually doing good. Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Oh, COVID Chan just said good morning from Malaysia. Well, thank you for joining us from Malaysia. Yes, that's true. Bright and early in Malaysia.
For sure.
Yeah, so Kat, can you share a little bit about who you are and and then we'll kind of go from there?
Sure. So I'm Kat Mendenhall. I am a native Texan. I'm a vegan activist. I've been vegan for over 11 years. I have a full-time job in technology, but I also started a business about 7 years ago where I have Kat Mendenhall boots, where I make and sell vegan cowboy boots. I'm also a vegan lifestyle coach and educator through the Main Street Vegan Academy. And so I also coach, do cooking classes, cooking workshops, and teach people how to embrace a vegan lifestyle.
That's awesome. And I met you because what your best friends with JL Fields. And
Correct.
JL has come to our events and JL loves to say, "Can Kat come?" We'll share a bed, we'll share a room. Can Kat come? I'm like, yeah. Of course Kat can come. That's happened at a couple of events. Well, the second one, what something happened. Baby? What happened? Someone was sick,
Oh
right?
gosh, yeah,
For
I can't
Nashville.
remember.
It was for Nashville. Yeah.
Something did happen. Yeah, I can't remember now because of between last year and COVID and things oddly enough that have still continued into 2021. I like everything before 2020 is basically a blur at this moment.
Right. So, life in Texas. I, you know, you watch the news and you see like the temperatures and you go, "Oh my goodness." And then you start to see things breaking and then you start to see people suffering. And but I've seen a few times on social media and you one of the people that posted it was that just because this horribleness is happening, you are all coming together to help and support one another, which cannot get lost in this.
That's very true. So, just like in every major event in this country, whether it's political or a crisis or, a social episode, we've kind of all been, I think, learned to take the news with a grain of salt sometimes. So I don't know what the rest of the world, because now I'm in this situation, right? So I don't know what the rest of the world is hearing. But yes, I mean, obviously this is a 100-year and hasn't happened in a very long time event for Texans. It affected every county, every person in Texas. So yes, we're used to hurricanes, we're used to tornadoes, we're used to isolated storms that affect a county or a group of people, and not necessarily as widespread as what this event has been. But our infrastructure, our environment is not set up to handle this extreme weather that we experience. So, sometimes I sit here because I have had experiences in extremely cold, um, places like in Rochester. I lived outside of Rochester, New York for 3 years for a work assignment, and definitely experienced extreme cold, extreme snow. And so I know what that's like, but Texas doesn't have snow plows. We don't have sand and salt treatments. We don't have clothing. We don't have the proper housing to deal with temperatures that have been below zero for a week. And that's what it's been here. So you put all that together, and yes, it's a natural disaster. And so it was a very, very tough week. I personally had to evacuate my living quarters in a high-rise apartment due to no electricity, but then also more concerningly for me, it was the water issue. I still can't go back to my apartment because of water issues, and that's where Texans are suffering now. Sun came out today. We did get above freezing, 36 degrees, woohoo. There was, I did get out for the first time in 5 days. So the streets, the snow, the ice is melting. But that also causes more problems with the pipes bursting and the flooding. So it just kind of continues on, even though we're not having necessarily the super extreme temperatures. But what I want people to know is that, we're not a failed system. I don't want to bring politics necessarily into the mix here. I don't want to put the blame game on anybody. But, a lack of antique infrastructure, which the whole nation suffers from, a lack of winterization for our, power plants and our gas lines. And then just, again, this is a record low event that probably will never happen again for 50, 100 years, hopefully. That was just an unusual event that a lot of people without the power, without the electricity. But yes, sorry, I'm rambling on now, but to your final point, Texans are resilient, as are people across America, right? We've seen this in natural disasters. We've seen this in human disasters. Forever, but definitely in what's happened in the last year to our country with COVID is how people pull together, neighbors helping neighbors. And that's really what I boil it down to. It's neighbors helping neighbors. And I've seen across social media, the news, everything locally, businesses and neighbors coming together to help each other and make sure that people are taken care of the best way they can. And that's really what America is built on, right? So it's as sad as the situation has been, it's also very heartwarming to know that in trying times like this, people stick together.
Yes, it's incredible actually to see the human nature kick in and say, help your neighbors, help your community, do what we can. And even if we're not there, I'm in North Carolina, let's help. Because every person, every state will have some sort of disaster that will happen. Oddly enough, the largest state in the union had every county, every
Yeah.
part of it get impacted by weather, which, could be climate change. This could happen sooner rather than 50 or 100 years. This could become, you really need to fix the infrastructure now. So just next month, it could happen again.
That's very true. I mean, obviously, we're on a vegan podcast here, so people are aware about the impact of our animal agriculture world and the impacts of our lifestyle, how that impacts our climate. And, there's been a lot of discussion here in Texas with this event around the, climate and wind turbines and natural energy. And like I said, it's really, we could do a whole podcast just on that one subject, right? Because there's a lot of conflicting emotions and opinions about it. But in this case, are basically, to really dumb it down, our wind turbines froze. Our gas lines froze. We didn't have the power and the winterization at the power plants to operate. and that caused a shutdown. So, we have to do better. We have to do better. I mean, as Americans, we rely on certain things, and I think power is something that you definitely just assume and you rely on. But then when you don't have it, you just the realization of what's going on here really comes to the forefront of a lot of people's mind and makes people think and reconsider. And again, it's not, I personally don't get into the point fingers game, but more or less like, what can we do better as a society to move forward to make sure this doesn't happen? Because yes, I agree with you. I do believe in, our deteriorating climate issues and know that this probably could happen sooner than later. But how are we going to be prepared to handle this? And what do we need to do to protect human beings and all of our animal friends in the future?
Exactly. And that's why we are asking you to donate, and we will send those funds to Texas. Rowdy Girl Sanctuary is one of the top ones we'll send them to. Kat, when she has a bit more time than 30 minutes, will share if there's other sanctuaries or other charities or other organizations that can use those funds. But we are asking you to donate, and if you can pay the transaction fee, even better. It goes through the nonprofit Triangle Vegfest, so it is going to a nonprofit to be shared with other nonprofits in the state of Texas. We will not take a piece of those funds. If anything, I'm going to add to it. So you can feel safe that those funds will go to an organization that it makes sense for it to go to, that's in Texas. So, Kat, thank you for.
Yeah, and I want to say about I think you're going to post maybe some of the links to some of the organizations locally that you can give to, and that to me that's just a personal decision on what you feel comfortable donating to. But definitely, something that I've been involved with is Rowdy Girl Sanctuary. They lived in an area before where they suffered 3 floods within 4 years, greatly impacted. They moved their sanctuary to higher ground, and now this year, this just unrealistic, unusual storm comes through. They've had to incur more costs. So another organization, Primitive Primates in San Antonio, they lost 12. I think the last count I saw was 12 animals. And they bring in rescued different animals, birds, monkeys, different types of animals that have been mistreated due to this severe cold weather. So, you can probably easily Google other sanctuaries in Texas that probably need help, but those are 2 that I know have gotten some publicity and are on the forefront of my mind. It takes everybody coming together to help people in need like this. And so I appreciate the opportunity to share our story and know that Texas is resilient. We'll get through this, and hopefully without too many loss of lives and loss of animal lives.
Yeah, my hope is, especially since it'll hopefully start to warm up and the pipes will get fixed. You need plumbers, you need electricians, you need the trees to be fixed because ice just snaps the limbs. There's so many things that have been impacted. We don't live in a cold climate. You don't know to drip the water to save the pipes. You just don't. It's just not something you think about because it's not your normal everyday winter. So,
For sure.
yeah.
It's been a very unusual event, and we appreciate all the prayers and the love that America has shown us. I've had friends reach out from all across the country checking on me, which I completely appreciate. Other people have been in times like this where, I've been able to reach out to them. So definitely am feeling all the love. And I'm thankful that, I've had a safe, warm place to be at while my apartment building is getting their act in order. But a lot of people aren't in the same situation. So I appreciate this platform to be able to share.
Yeah, no, I'm glad that you, I'm so glad that you worked as quickly as I did to make this happen. Now, just know we only, we started this like 5:45
Yeah, I
p.m.
never pulled
So
it together, which is why I look this way. Hello, world, but that's okay. I
it's like
mean,
you look absolutely beautiful. So
um,
thank you. Go
yeah,
ahead.
thank you. Yeah, no, thank you. And I was just going to say, crazy enough, Texas weather, we're going to be 70 on Wednesday.
Right.
So, I've lived here my whole life, and every February we get a few days normally. This is, like I said, it's been a week, but we get a few days that is just, snow, ice, or cold or something, because we'll have a little temptation of some warm weather, and people are like, oh, yeah, it's spring. That's why we live in Texas, But then I'm like, oh, no, hold the boat. February, we always get a little something. And we had the Super Bowl here back in
2011, I think it was
yeah, 2010,
2011.
2011.
Yep.
Yeah. I happened to be out of town during that, but we had this massive ice storm that just suddenly hit, so it happens. And unfortunately, there was a lot of cumulative things on top of the bad weather that made it horrible for a lot of people. So thank you, everyone. Thank you for your help. Thank you for your support, your prayers, your love. We appreciate it.
No, and thank you for jumping on. And everyone, please donate. The link is in the comments. If you don't want to donate to Triangle Veg Fest to pass the funds on to who needs help in Texas, then we posted the link that you can choose where you want to send some funds. It's totally up to you. If you have the means, please help. If you don't, reach out to someone that you know in Texas and see what you can do. I mean, whatever it is, just like this, just a warm reach out to say, we're thinking about you. You're not alone in the dark, in the freezing cold, with no water. You're not alone. You will get through this. It will get better. And I'm so glad you're all supporting one another in your communities, because that's incredibly important.
Yeah, that's, I think, been the biggest thing, is the stories of people, their sacrifice and helping each other, and neighbors posting, putting out food in their front yards, like food cabinet, pantry kind of things for people. People allowing strangers into their home that have power. People opening up churches and fire departments and stuff, warming stations. I mean, who ever heard of a warming station before? I never heard of that.
Not in
Right? Now,
Texas.
so, outside of like all these new COVID terms we have, now we have warming stations, where you can go get warm and charge your phone. I mean, crazy, right? Just it's 2021. You just didn't think like this crazy stuff would happen. But yeah, fire, my brother works for the electric company. He's been working 12-hour plus shifts around the clock. Gas people are working. Sorry, my dog. 20, gas people, gas employees, part of my family working to get people's gas on. I got firemen in my family, firemen, working 48 hours at a time to help people in need. So, all the good stories are there. But yeah, it's definitely been a dire situation like you see in the news, but also like a lot of humanity.
Exactly. And thank you for sharing some of that with us. I really
You're
appreciate it.
welcome.
I really
Yeah.
do.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
Plus,
Yeah.
it's always good to see you.
Yes, I know. When we can, hello world, when we can be back at a live event, or not live, but in-person event,
Yep.
and we can actually touch and feel and hug each other and all that good stuff. Yeah, I miss that totally.
Yeah,
Miss seeing you.
yeah, definitely. I look forward to that too. And in the meantime, I will definitely hit you up for some more virtual stuff. So
Sounds good.
yeah, so everyone, I will see you tomorrow, Virtual Vegfest Live at 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time with Chef Mason. And outside of that, have a great Friday night. I'm going to go have dinner. Thanks, Kat. Have a good one.
Thank you. Take
Bye.
care, everybody. See you again.
Bye.